If your miracle still hasn't arrived, stay with me until the end. St. Anthony is already prepared to surprise you. You who are tired of praying and seeing nothing change. You who are crushed under the weight of financial emergency, lost in family pain, or trapped in impossible situations. This prayer is your turning point. You didn't stumble on this by chance. Heaven scheduled this moment for you. Through this very powerful prayer to St. Anthony, the impossible begins to shift. This is the moment your miracle begins. The tears you've cried in secret, the fears you've hidden behind a smile, St. Anthony sees them all. And he's not standing at a distance. He's moving toward your need with divine purpose. Whether you need healing, direction, provision, or restoration, you are not alone. This is your sacred invitation to believe again in the God of miracles and in the saint who never stops interceding. If you believe this is your time, write in the comments, St. Anthony, perform today the miracle I long for. O St. Anthony of Padua, tireless intercessor and friend of desperate hearts, I turn to you now with a cry that cannot be silenced. You who have witnessed broken families restored, diseases healed, and the most impossible requests answered, listen to my voice. I am not asking out of doubt, but out of faith, bruised, but still alive. I give you my burden, my uncertainty, my dreams that feel too far to touch. I place them in your hands, knowing that through your intercession miracles happen not by chance but by divine design. Come close, St. Anthony. I need your help now more than ever. When fear tries to overtake me and despair clouds my mind, be my light. When the weight of bills, broken bonds, and sickness seems unbearable, lift me with your compassion. I surrender the things I cannot fix, and I trust you to carry them to the throne of Jesus. You who are called in desperate cases, do not delay. This is my moment of surrender. I'm not just hoping for a change, I'm believing for it. Through this prayer to St. Anthony, let heaven move on my behalf. For the one still listening, this is more than a prayer. It's a lifeline. Don't walk away yet. The breakthrough comes for those who stay, who trust, who declare that the impossible prayer that works is also for them. Let this be the hour where things shift. Don't let your doubt speak louder than your faith. Through this powerful Catholic prayer for miracles, chains are breaking, paths are opening, and your story is about to change. One prayer at a time. If your faith is still alive, even if only by a thread, comment below, I'm holding on. I trust in the power of St. Anthony. The miracle begins in the dark. Every miracle starts in the dark, that space where answers don't come quickly, where pain seems louder than peace. Maybe that's where you are right now, tired, unsure, questioning if heaven is even listening. But I promise you this, St. Anthony of Padua is closer than you think, and through this very powerful prayer to St. Anthony, something sacred is beginning to shift. You're not forgotten. Even when everyone else walks away, heaven leans in. The silence you feel is not abandonment, it's preparation. The delay is not denial. The tears you've cried are not wasted. This is the part of the story where miracles are made. This is where your breakthrough begins. St. Anthony was known for finding lost things, but what many forget is that he also found people lost in grief, in debt, in shame, and he brought them back to hope, back to purpose, back to life. That's what this prayer to St. Anthony is about: recovery, restoration, and divine reversal. There was a woman who had nothing left. Her rent was due, her pantry empty, her spirit crushed. She prayed this prayer not once, but daily. And out of nowhere, someone knocked on her door with groceries and enough to cover her bills. Coincidence? or the power of an urgent miracle. When heaven responds, it doesn't ask for explanations. It moves, swiftly, boldly, unexpectedly. You're not listening to this by chance. You've been called into a sacred moment. The impossible prayer that works is already in motion. Not tomorrow, not someday, but now. You may say, "But I've prayed before, and nothing changed." I understand. Many have. But this time is different, not because your words are better, but because your heart is ready. You've come to the end of yourself, and that's where God begins. Through this miraculous prayer to Saint Anthony, your new beginning is being written. Look around. Things may still seem broken, but inside something is rising. That's not emotion, that's faith. That's your soul responding to the voice of God. The fire is coming back. The courage is returning. Saint Anthony is interceding with a boldness that hell cannot silence. Every obstacle in your life has an expiration date, and some of them are about to expire right now. Not because you forced them, but because you prayed, because you believed. This powerful Catholic prayer for miracles has no limits, no distance, no restriction. It works for the willing. The blessing you've been asking for might not come in the way you expect. It may come softer, quieter, but stronger than anything you imagined. Don't miss it by looking in the wrong direction. God moves in whispers, and Saint Anthony carries them straight to his heart. In a small town, a man with stage 4 cancer was given days to live. His wife prayed this prayer in tears with trembling hands. By the end of the week, his scans were clean. The doctors were stunned, but heaven wasn't. This is what happens when faith meets divine intercession. You may not see it yet, but as you pray, heaven is rearranging everything. Alignments, people, finances, timing. What seemed impossible yesterday is being restructured today. You don't have to understand how. Just believe that the miracle is already underway. Financial emergency. God can turn a desert into a river. Family restoration. God can turn stone hearts into flesh. Through this prayer to Saint Anthony, what's lost is not just found, it's redeemed. Better than before, stronger than it started, more beautiful than expected. Let go of your timeline. Let go of the outcome. Surrender the plan. When you place it all in the hands of Saint Anthony, you're not giving up. You're giving God full permission to move, and He will, in ways that leave no doubt who answered your cry. Imagine this. Months from now, you look back and realize this was the day it all began. The shift, the change, the testimony. This is not just another prayer. It's your altar moment, your spiritual rebirth, your entry point into the miraculous. The enemy fears this moment because he knows what's happening. You're remembering who you are, a child of heaven, a receiver of grace, a believer in power. This miraculous prayer to Saint Anthony is reminding your soul what it forgot in the pain, that you were made for more. So speak boldly now. Say what you need. Ask for the impossible. God is not intimidated by your requests, and St. Anthony, your holy intercessor, is ready to carry them with reverence, with urgency, and with unshakable confidence to the throne of heaven. Some blessings arrive not because you begged harder, but because you stood longer. And that's what you're doing right now. Standing, waiting, trusting. That alone shakes the foundations of heaven. Through this prayer that works instantly, you are being marked by divine attention. Do not be afraid of the silence. It is in the quiet that roots grow deeper, and your faith is growing even now. Stronger, wiser, resilient. Soon the fruit will follow. Your miracle is not just coming, it's maturing. And Saint Anthony is watering it with every prayer. Let every doubt fall. Let every fear melt. Let this moment be the one you remember as the moment faith returned. Not because everything made sense, but because you chose to believe anyway. That's when heaven moves. That's when lives change. That's when impossible requests become answered prayers. You don't need to beg. You don't need to panic. Just breathe, rest, believe. The hand of God is moving. The help of Saint Anthony is real. The timing is perfect, and the miracle is already on its way. You are not late. You are right on time. Let this mystery settle in your heart. What if the miracle has already begun, and this prayer is your confirmation? If this word reached you today, type in the comments, "This is the beginning of my miracle. I trust Saint Anthony." Let heaven hear your voice, staying in faith. While the miracle is on the way, faith doesn't always feel like fire. Sometimes it feels like silence, like waiting, like holding on when nothing seems to move. But it's in those very moments that your miracle is taking shape. Saint Anthony of Padua, your advocate in heaven, knows the weight of waiting. And through this very powerful prayer to Saint Anthony, he reminds you, don't let go just yet. Heaven does its best work in hidden places. Seeds grow underground before they ever break through the soil. And maybe that's what's happening now. Your answer is growing beneath the surface. Just because you don't see movement doesn't mean there isn't any. Trust the silence, trust the miracle in progress. We often think God has to move loudly, to move powerfully, but he whispers to the wind. He speaks through stillness. And Saint Anthony, standing between your prayer and God's throne, hears even the sighs you didn't speak. This prayer to Saint Anthony is not about noise, it's about alignment. You may not feel worthy, but worthiness was never a requirement. All God asks is that you show up with an open heart, and today you did. You said yes when everything said no. You believed when doubt screamed louder. That's what qualifies you for a miracle. A woman once lost her job and her confidence in the same week. She prayed this very prayer, not for a job, but for strength to believe again. Within days, she received not only a new opportunity, but a peace she hadn't known in years. That's the fruit of faith that refuses to die. It's not always about the outcome. Sometimes the greatest miracle is who you become while you wait. Through this powerful Catholic prayer for miracles, God is not only changing your situation, he's changing you, molding your heart, deepening your trust, preparing you for what's next. Have you noticed how your heart softens in prayer? That's grace working. Have you noticed how your thoughts feel calmer by the end of each word? That's the power of Saint Anthony's presence. He doesn't just move heaven, he moves your spirit into peace. Let your soul breathe. Don't rush this moment. The urgent miracle you need is not running away. In fact, it's closer than ever, and your stillness is a signal to heaven. I trust you. This kind of trust is rare, and heaven responds to it with abundance. Financial emergency, emotional turmoil, family brokenness, none of these are too big for God. Through this miraculous prayer to Saint Anthony, you are laying them down one by one. And as you do, divine help is lifting them from your shoulders, slowly, gently, completely. You may wonder, why hasn't it happened yet? But that question is the seed of doubt. A better question is, what is God preparing in this delay? Because every second of silence is filled with purpose, and Saint Anthony's intercession is ensuring none of it is wasted. God isn't just preparing the blessing, he's preparing you to carry it well. That's why you haven't received something lesser. That's why the doors that would have distracted or destroyed you remained closed. This powerful prayer protects as much as it provides. Some days will still be hard. That's okay. Faith doesn't erase the storm, it anchors you in it. And this anchor is forged in moments like this. Prayer after prayer, breath after breath, holding on, even when nothing looks different yet, because you know your miracle is near. The man who waited 12 years for his child to return home never stopped praying. One day, out of the blue, his son knocked on the door. Tears, forgiveness, and restoration followed. That's what happens when love waits with faith. This impossible prayer that works is filled with stories like that. And now, it's your turn. Your story is being written, even as you listen. The characters are shifting. The ending is changing. Saint Anthony is speaking your name in heaven, and angels are moving on your behalf. Stay here. Stay open. Stay expectant. So many people walk away just before the breakthrough. They stop praying too soon. They give up just before the shift. But not you. You're still here. That means you're different. That means you're ready. And that means this miraculous prayer today still has power to release. There's a reason you're still listening, a reason your spirit hasn't moved on. This isn't background noise. It's a divine encounter. And the same God who answered the cries of the saints is leaning in to answer yours. Don't let go now. What if the very next day is the day everything changes? What if the call, the healing, the release comes when you least expect it? That's how miracles work. They show up suddenly, but only to those who remained faithful quietly. Saint Anthony doesn't operate on your schedule. He operates on heaven's calendar. And that timing is always perfect. Not too late, not too early, just enough, just right. This is the power of trust, releasing your clock and embracing divine rhythm. Every moment you remain in this prayer, you're building spiritual endurance, the kind that doesn't break under pressure, the kind that survives the storm and steps into the promise. This prayer to Saint Anthony is training your soul to stand taller. Let hope rise again. Let it surprise you. Let it carry you where your plans couldn't. Restoration of family relationships, healing from old wounds, provision in dry seasons. It's not a fantasy, it's a promise. And it's waiting on the other side of this belief. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine the answer arriving. Feel the joy, the release, the peace. That's not fantasy, it's a preview. The God who gave you the vision will fulfill it. Through the infallible prayer to St. Anthony, you're not just imagining it, you're aligning with it. This is what walking by faith looks like. Staying when it's easier to leave, believing when it's tempting to doubt, listening to a whisper when the world shouts otherwise. That's your strength, that's your offering, and heaven honors it. If your heart is still open and your hope is alive, even quietly, write in the comments, "I will not give up. I trust in the miracle Saint Anthony is bringing." The power of intercession that shakes heaven. There are moments in life when words fail, and all that remains is a silent cry from the soul. That's the cry heaven hears. And through the prayer to Saint Anthony, that cry turns into a miracle. You who have prayed for years and seen no result, this is not the end. This is the preparation for something greater. Saint Anthony specializes in transforming impossibilities into testimonies. His intercession isn't ordinary. It is heaven-sent and deeply personal. Some saints are remembered, others are called upon. But Saint Anthony of Padua is one of the few who never fails to respond. When you call him, he comes with divine swiftness. His presence doesn't always bring an instant change of scenery, but it always brings a shift in your soul. And that shift, that's the sign the urgent miracle has already begun. You may not see it with your eyes yet, but you will feel it in your spirit. To the one burdened by a financial emergency, feeling like there's no way out, know that St. Anthony sees what weighs on you. The sleepless nights, the unopened bills, the silent tears. He sees them all. And not only does he see, he moves heaven to respond. He has been known for centuries as the saint who unlocks what's been closed. The powerful Catholic prayer for miracles is not just tradition, it's legacy. Family restoration is not a fantasy, it is a promise waiting to be fulfilled. Your family may be fragmented right now, divided by silence, resentment, or distance, but the prayer that flows through this mystery is building a bridge. Not one made of words, but of grace. St. Anthony knows how to heal broken hearts, restore lost trust, and bring home those who've drifted. His hands mend what seems beyond repair. Some say time heals all wounds, but in truth, prayer heals what time cannot. That deep ache in your chest, that fear of never seeing reconciliation, lay it here. The miraculous prayer to St. Anthony doesn't operate on time, it works on faith, and faith is faster than any clock. Your miracle isn't on pause, it's on the way, because you've chosen to believe. Heaven's movement is often quiet. While the world screams, "Nothing's changing," God whispers through St. Anthony, "I'm working behind the scenes." That's why you must stay. Stay in faith. Stay in prayer. Stay even when your heart wants to quit. The breakthrough is not loud, it's sacred. Let this impossible prayer that works anchor your soul like a lighthouse in the storm. When doors close, many panic, but those who know St. Anthony, they pray. They remember his miracles are often born in dark hallways just before the next door opens. What feels like delay is often divine setup. What feels like a no may simply be not yet. Hold on. The next door will open, and it will be the right one. Because God doesn't let a faithful heart go unanswered. Maybe you've tried everything. Doctors, banks, therapists, friends, but nothing lifted the burden. This is when intercession becomes your strategy. The kind of infallible prayer to St. Anthony that shifts the impossible. You've come to the end of your strength so that you can begin with God's. You are not forsaken. You are positioned for a miracle. Think of the woman in the Bible with the issue of blood. 12 years waiting. She reached for Jesus, desperate. And what changed everything wasn't just her touch, it was her faith. That same faith is rising in you now. The more impossible it seems, the more powerful the testimony. Let your story be next. Let it begin with this prayer. St. Anthony, the gentle miracle worker, doesn't wait for perfect people. He responds to humble hearts. And the fact that you're here, listening, means you qualify. You don't have to fix yourself before asking. You just have to believe. Let your cry be wrapped in this very powerful prayer to St. Anthony. He will carry it directly to the throne of God. It is not weakness to cry, it is strength to surrender. The greatest miracles often follow the loudest breakdowns. If you're broken, you're exactly where heaven does its best work. The urgent help you need is not denied. It's being shaped to fit your deepest need. St. Anthony knows the language of the soul. He's already responding. Look at your life like a field in drought. Now imagine the first drops of rain falling after months of dryness. That's what this prayer is, the beginning of rain. The miraculous prayer today is a downpour for your barren places. And when it rains, it will flood everything, your finances, your health, your family with grace. You don't have to feel holy to pray. You just have to be honest. Say, "I'm tired, Saint Anthony. I'm scared. I don't know what else to do." That's enough. That's more than enough. He meets you there with no judgment, only mercy. That's why this prayer works. Because it's not about performance, it's about the heart. If you feel like giving up, you're on the edge of your blessing. That's no cliche. That's spiritual truth. The enemy always fights hardest when heaven is closest. That pressure in your soul is the sign that the immediate miracle is already in motion. Don't walk away now. Let the one who never failed a soul be the one who lifts yours. This moment is not small. Heaven watches what you do when you feel forgotten, but you're not forgotten. You're being remembered in every whisper of this prayer. Every line is a step closer. Every tear is a seed of transformation. What was hard soil is about to blossom. What was lost is about to be found. Speak this out loud. Saint Anthony of Padua, I believe in your power. I trust your intercession. I wait with faith. Even if your voice trembles, even if your heart doesn't fully believe it yet, say it anyway. Because that's how faith grows, word by word. And those words are heard. They echo in heaven. Have you ever witnessed a sunrise after a stormy night? That's what's coming. This powerful prayer isn't only calming the storm, it's making way for the light. Keep praying, keep believing, keep expecting. The miracle isn't a distant hope. It's approaching, one faithful breath at a time. You are not praying alone. Around the world, thousands are lifting their voices with yours. That collective faith, yours included, is powerful. Miracles love community, and today you are part of a holy one. Together we call upon Saint Anthony, and together we will see the hand of God move. Take a moment now. Picture your problem, your pain, your fear, whatever is tormenting your soul. Now imagine handing it over to Saint Anthony, like a child handing a broken toy to their father. You don't need to fix it, just release it. Let this miraculous prayer to Saint Anthony be the bridge from stress to surrender. We often say, all I can do is pray, like it's the last resort. But what if it's the greatest power? What if your prayer is stronger than the problem? This is not a whisper in the dark, it's a declaration in the light, and Saint Anthony is amplifying it before heaven. Yes, even now. When you can't see the end, hold tighter to the beginning. This prayer is the seed. The miracle is the fruit. It may take days. It may take moments, but it will come. And when it does, you will say, only God could have done this. That's the mark of a true miracle. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, say, I receive. Say it again, out loud. Let your soul hear it. Let your faith rise. Prayer to Saint Anthony doesn't just reach God, it prepares you to receive what God sends. This is holy ground. This is where the shift begins. If you believe Saint Anthony is already working on your behalf, comment, I receive my miracle with faith. Let your words echo your trust. When faith becomes surrender, when a person reaches the point where they no longer have control, something divine begins to move. That's when true surrender happens, not because we give up, but because we finally let go of the illusion that we can do everything alone. Saint Anthony of Padua teaches us that when we release our grip, heaven takes over. And it does so with precision, with timing, with grace. Sometimes what we call delay is just God setting the stage for the impossible. Many have found themselves crying alone at night, saying, I can't take this anymore. But if you're still breathing, it's because God's mercy is still working. And if you're here, it's because this very powerful prayer to Saint Anthony is your bridge to the supernatural. The storm around you is not a sign of God's absence. It's the proof that He's preparing to silence the winds with a word. Through the intercession of Saint Anthony, your surrender becomes your strength. People often confuse surrender with weakness, but the truth is, it takes more courage to surrender than to keep fighting in your own strength. Surrender is not quitting, it's trusting. It's saying, Lord, I don't see the way, but I know you are the way. It's placing your finances, your children, your marriage, your health in His hands and saying, do what I cannot. And through the intercession of Saint Anthony, what was buried comes back to life. There are wounds so deep, we don't even know how to pray about them anymore. Words fail, strength runs out. But that's when the Spirit intercedes with groans that words cannot express. And St. Anthony, this gentle friend of the weary, carries our wordless prayers straight to the throne. You don't need to know the right words. You just need a heart willing to believe, a heart open to a miraculous prayer today. The world may label your situation as hopeless, but heaven has a different vocabulary. What the world calls dead, God calls sleeping. What the world calls over, God calls the beginning. When you lift up a powerful Catholic prayer for miracles, you're not just asking for a solution, you're stepping into a supernatural dimension where nothing is too hard. Especially when it's a prayer to St. Anthony, there's a peace that comes not from everything being fixed, but from knowing you're not carrying it alone. That's what surrender brings. And when you surrender under the mantle of St. Anthony, you enter a sacred agreement. God will fight for you. You just need to hold your peace. Trust doesn't mean you won't feel fear. It means you refuse to let fear make your decisions. Someone listening right now has been trying to hold their family together with their own strength. But the more you force it, the more things break. That's why this moment of family restoration begins with surrender. You don't have to carry every broken piece. Just hand them to the one who specializes in putting shattered things back together. The financial storm you're facing is not meant to destroy you. It's meant to reveal the God of provision. Saint Anthony, who has answered so many in times of financial emergency, stands beside you now. Not to hand you a lottery ticket, but to open divine doors. When you surrender your finances to God, He multiplies what's left and makes a way where there was none. Sometimes the greatest miracle is not what God gives us, but what He removes: toxic people, fear, pride, despair. But that only happens when we say, Lord, I surrender. Surrender is the soil where miracles grow. If you're holding on to what's hurting you, it's time to let go, release it. Let St. Anthony intercede and watch God replace ashes with beauty. People often say, I've tried everything and nothing worked. That's good news, because when you reach the end of yourself, you've finally made room for God. This prayer that works instantly doesn't promise you won't cry, it promises your tears won't be in vain. It guarantees that impossible requests don't remain impossible for long. You may be feeling defeated, but surrender is not defeat. It's a declaration of trust. It's the cry of a child who knows their father is coming, and you are not forgotten. You are not unseen. Your case is not too complex. Your debt is not too deep. Your pain is not too private. You are precisely the kind of person God chooses to bless through a miraculous prayer to Saint Anthony. What if your surrender became your testimony? What if the thing you're letting go of today becomes the very thing God uses to reveal His glory? That broken dream, that failed business, that betrayal, it's not wasted. Through the powerful intercession of Saint Anthony, every fragment can become a mosaic of grace. So don't resist the process. Surrender to it. Lean into the silence and trust that St. Anthony is already working behind the scenes. He's touching hearts, softening pride, moving paperwork, opening spiritual doors. He's not late, he's strategic. And your act of surrender is what triggers the release. Many have experienced instant miracles at the moment they said, "I give it to you, Lord." No strings attached, no backup plan, just raw, vulnerable faith. That's when heaven moves. That's when the impossible bows. That's when you realize surrender wasn't loss, it was divine strategy. There's a sacred transaction that happens when you say, "Lord, take over." You exchange worry for worship, anxiety for peace, control for trust, and you gain access to grace that you didn't earn but desperately need. Through the infallible prayer to St. Anthony, you're not just asking, you're stepping into alignment. When you stop trying to force outcomes, you make room for miracles. When you let go of the how, God reveals the wow. There's no limit to what he can do when your hands are open and your heart is yielded. This powerful prayer to St. Anthony is not about formulas. It's about faith that rests in surrender. Your restoration doesn't depend on how strong you are. It depends on how surrendered you are. Even Jesus in the garden said, "Not my will, but yours be done." That's the ultimate surrender, and it led to the ultimate victory. The same will happen for you, not despite your surrender, but because of it. You don't need to understand everything to trust in something greater. You just need to trust that God sees what you can't, and that St. Anthony, your intercessor, is whispering your name before the throne of heaven right now. Your sigh has become a song in heaven. Your silence has become sacred. Let your tears fall. They are not signs of weakness, but seeds of breakthrough. Let your fears rise. They are reminders of how much you need God. And let your heart open wide, because what's coming will exceed what you lost. This is the mystery of surrender. It unlocks blessings without striving. Today, you may feel broken, but surrender allows God to put you together in a way that makes you stronger than before. You won't return to who you were. You'll become who you were always meant to be. That is the beauty of restoration of homes, of souls, of lives touched by grace. You don't need to prove anything. You just need to believe. Believe that your act of surrender is the key to your urgent miracle. Believe that St. Anthony is standing in the gap, presenting your case to the one who holds all power, and believe that the shift has already begun. When you feel the urge to give up, let that be the moment you give it to God instead. Surrender is not the end of the road, it's the beginning of a better one. A divine detour that leads to healing, to joy, to peace. It is the first step toward family restoration, financial release, and supernatural favor. So today, whisper those sacred words, "I surrender." Say it out loud. Write it in your heart. Let the heavens echo with your trust. And may St. Anthony wrap you in his light as you rest in the arms of divine provision. You're not losing control, you're giving it to the only one who never loses. The fullness of faith in the miracle. When the night is at its darkest, that's when the light of faith must burn the brightest. This is the moment to declare, not with trembling hope, but with bold conviction that your miracle is already on its way. St. Anthony does not delay. He acts in divine time, and divine time is never late. What seems like silence is preparation. What feels like a pause is heaven aligning every detail of your breakthrough. There are no locked doors that faith cannot open. And if Saint Anthony walks ahead of you, what was once sealed will swing wide open. He holds keys to impossible cases, financial advancement, and family restoration. You've prayed, you've cried, you've believed, and now you declare, not tomorrow, not next year. Your miracle is now. This is the hour for your spirit to rise. This is a very powerful prayer to Saint Anthony that ignites boldness in your soul. No more begging, no more doubting. This is the time to stand tall and proclaim with authority, I am no longer waiting for a miracle, I am walking in it. Every obstacle is bowing, every financial burden is breaking. Every lost relationship is being restored through this miraculous prayer to Saint Anthony. Declare with me, I am a child of a God who never fails. Saint Anthony, open the doors that have been shut for too long. Speak it aloud. This powerful Catholic prayer for miracles is shifting something in the unseen. What you cannot see, heaven is already touching. You may not feel it yet, but miracles don't need your feelings, just your faith. You've made it this far not by accident, but by divine orchestration. Something sacred is happening behind the veil. Saint Anthony is moving in places you cannot go, speaking for you in realms you cannot access, unlocking what others said was lost forever. This is the miraculous prayer today that ends your delay. When you feel tired, when your soul aches, remember, you are closest to your miracle when you're closest to giving up. But giving up is not your story. Not now, not ever. Because this prayer that works instantly is declaring war on every spirit of discouragement and declaring victory over your life. How many times have you almost quit, almost walked away, but something inside you wouldn't let go? That something was God's Spirit, and Saint Anthony standing in the gap for you. Today, this urgent miracle is breaking through. Even if you don't yet see it, trust it, celebrate it in advance. Now, say this, Saint Anthony, I praise you not just for what you've done, but for what you are doing that I can't yet see. That's the essence of faith in impossible prayer that works. It praises in advance. It rejoices before results. It dances while still in the valley. That's the faith that triggers heaven's release. Your financial struggles are not your destiny. Your heartbreak is not your end. Your losses will become your greatest testimony, because Saint Anthony isn't just helping you survive, he's launching you into overflow, into healing, into answered prayer, into restored dreams, into peace, into divine provision. Take this moment and breathe. You are safe in the arms of divine intercession. You are not forgotten, not forsaken, not overlooked. Saint Anthony, miracle worker of heaven, is carrying your case with urgency and favor. Feel that truth settle into your bones. You are chosen for breakthrough. You've cried long enough, waited long enough. This prayer is a turning point. An infallible prayer to Saint Anthony means the impossible becomes possible. You don't need to know how. It's not your job. You just need to believe who. And he who called Saint Anthony to be your helper is faithful. This powerful prayer to Saint Anthony isn't about feelings. It's about divine facts. Heaven listens. Angels move. Breakthroughs are dispatched, and your spirit, shaken by life, is now being fortified by grace. Say this aloud. The battle is not mine. Saint Anthony, I trust you. Maybe you've seen others blessed and wondered, when is it my turn? The answer is now, not next. Now. This miraculous prayer to Saint Anthony is declaring that your turn is here. The tables are turning. The season is shifting. The storm is passing. What's coming is better than what left. Your restoration begins with recognition, recognizing that God uses your pain as a platform, that your waiting was a womb, not a grave. Family restoration is already happening, lost children returning, broken marriages mending, silence turning to song. Saint Anthony hears your cry. If you believe for others, believe for yourself. Speak over your life like someone who knows heaven is listening. Prayer to Saint Anthony isn't a whisper into the void. It's a thunder that shakes the throne. Speak healing, speak abundance, speak peace, and Saint Anthony speaks with you. You are not unworthy of miracles. Let go of that lie. You are not too late, too broken, or too forgotten. You are God's beloved, and Saint Anthony walks with those who dare to believe again. This miraculous prayer today is your invitation to believe wildly and without shame. It's not your job to fix what God is already repairing. Stop replaying the pain. Start rehearsing the promise. Saint Anthony does not partner with doubt. He partners with unshakable trust. Trust that this moment of prayer is not in vain. Trust that your words are building something in the heavens, and what is being built will be poured out, not drop by drop, but in a flood of answers. A wave of healing, a downpour of provision, a restoration of home and soul. This is your miracle prayer, and it is working even now. Don't back down. Don't give in. This is your breakthrough zone. Do you hear it? That still small voice? It's Saint Anthony whispering, it's happening. The peace that surpasses understanding is on its way, and the proof is not in the feeling, it's in the faith. Lift your hands, even if weak. Say, I believe. Say, it is done. Say, glory to God. Repeat this with boldness. Saint Anthony, thank you for the miracle in motion, because your urgent help is not waiting for the perfect moment, it is creating it. The delays are ending. The doors are opening. The answers are coming. You are walking in the direction of answered prayer. Let this moment become your altar. Speak your impossible request one more time, with passion, with fire, with gratitude, because this prayer that works instantly is not bound by human logic. It is wrapped in grace, soaked in mercy, and sealed by the power of Saint Anthony's intercession. Do not look back. What broke you won't define you. What hurt you won't hold you. This is a new chapter, a healed chapter, a miracle-filled chapter. The moment you dared to believe again was the moment heaven began to move. Trust that this powerful Catholic prayer for miracles is not just a hope, it's a holy transaction. Let your spirit rejoice, not for what you have, but for what's on the way. Begin to thank Saint Anthony. Thank him for showing up in this sacred hour. Thank him for carrying you when your knees buckled. Thank him for this infallible prayer to Saint Anthony that will never return empty. May the peace of the Most High descend now upon your life like morning dew over dry ground. Let every burden that has weighed down your soul be lifted by the grace of this prayer. In the name of Saint Anthony, may doors that were once sealed now burst open with light. May what was broken in your home begin to heal, and what was lost begin to return. This is not the end. It is the beginning of your restoration. Let your heart beat with renewed hope, even if your reality hasn't changed just yet. Because in the unseen, miracles are already being orchestrated on your behalf. Saint Anthony walks beside you now, protector of the forgotten, restorer of the weary. Your tears have not gone unnoticed, your cries have not been in vain. By his infallible prayer, heaven is answering. I bless your home, every room, every corner, that it may be filled with divine peace. May your table never lack provision, and your family never lack unity. May the grace of financial advancement flow where once there was scarcity, and may your hands be blessed to receive and to give in abundance and love. Let the oil of joy replace the ashes of sorrow in every area of your life. To you who felt forgotten, overlooked, or alone, know that you've been seen. Heaven has turned its gaze toward you, and St. Anthony has taken your cause personally. No more hopeless nights, no more defeated mornings. From this moment on, walk with your head high, not in pride, but in faith. For the Lord is with you, and He is not finished with your story. May every impossible request you have placed at the altar be met with heavenly fire. Not just a response, but a divine turnaround that leaves no doubt of God's power. I declare the restoration of everything the enemy tried to steal from you. Your family, your dreams, your finances, your peace, all of it will be returned. And what was lost will come back with interest, pressed down, shaken together and overflowing. I speak healing over your body, healing over your mind, healing over your heart. In the name of Jesus, through the intercession of St. Anthony, receive your miracle. Let every curse be broken, every closed door be opened, and every fear be silenced. You are not abandoned. You are not forsaken. You are under divine protection, and this protection is stronger than any storm that rises against you. From today on, let the light of God's favor follow you wherever you go, at work, at home, in decisions. May clarity, peace, and discernment guide you. And when you don't know which way to turn, may St. Anthony place his hand on your shoulder to remind you, you are never walking alone. The miracle is in motion, and your testimony will inspire many. Let the peace that surpasses all understanding guard your heart and mind in Christ. Let the shadow of St. Anthony be your shield as you step into this new chapter. I bless your children, your spouse, your parents, even those who've turned away. May reconciliation and forgiveness flow like a river into your household. And may laughter once again echo through your walls. Receive now the grace to rest, not in your efforts, but in God's providence. Let go of anxiety. Lay down your battles. The Lord has taken over. Even in the silence, He is working. Even in the delay, He is preparing. Let this prayer become a turning point in your journey of faith, and may St. Anthony walk with you until your victory is complete. Now lift your hands if you can, and say in your heart, I receive. I receive healing. I receive provision. I receive peace. I receive the miracle. And I receive it with gratitude even before it arrives, because I trust. I trust in the God of St. Anthony. I trust in the process. I trust in the timing. And I trust that I will never be the same after this encounter. Did this prayer awaken something inside you? Can you feel the weight lifting? Even if the miracle hasn't fully arrived yet. That's not just emotion, that's the Holy Spirit, moving through the intercession of St. Anthony. What if this is the beginning of your story of transformation? Would you dare to believe that your breakthrough is already on its way? Do you feel peace returning to your soul? That calm is not a coincidence. It's the assurance that heaven has heard you. St. Anthony is not distant. He walks with those who believe in impossible requests. Are you ready to walk in faith even before seeing the answer? Your testimony could be the next one to inspire someone else's miracle. What's stopping you from fully trusting now? If you've made it this far, it's because God wanted you to receive this message. Don't let the enemy convince you otherwise. This is the moment your story changes and faith becomes real. From now on, walk with your head held high. The miracle is already in motion. Let this be your turning point. Speak life into your situation. Speak hope over your finances. Speak healing over your body. Let every day from now on be a declaration of trust in the miraculous prayer to Saint Anthony. Let every amen you say echo in heaven, and let this experience stay with you forever.